situation where somebody's attacking them, well, then they expect an entire Spartan army of black men to just rise to the occasion and be their Captain Save them. So it's like, well, hold up, sisters. You can't have it both ways because all those would be protectors. There's still somebody's son, somebody's father,
Yep.
somebody's husband, somebody's cousin,
Well,
nephew,
so
whatever. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, "Oh, I expect all this protection from everybody," but when it's somebody that's near and dear to you, you don't want that person to get involved. It just is what it is.
mm,
Which it it kind of goes back to what we were talking about backstage. How many of these ladies they say these things. They've been fighting men, especially our sisters have been fighting us for decades over certain ideologies.
yeah.
And they don't realize that to a certain extent, they've actually won. They've
Yeah.
won many of the things that they've been demanding all this time. However, they never took the time to truly dissect or even acknowledge what does it mean to win.
Now I
What,
gotta stop you for 1 second, and listen to what Real Beauty has to say.
okay.
I guess don't worry, go get your passport. I thought y'all all left already. So don't worry about women you hate.
Well, if you notice, I didn't even say anything about a passport yet, did I?
Nobody said anything about passport. Nobody said anything about hating women. Nobody said anything. You know what? This is the kind of stuff. This is the reason why we're having this
this,
conversation
this
right
is why I
here.
wear this shirt, brother. Don't fight me.
Thank you for showing yourself, Real Beauty. Truly, I truly appreciate you. Thank
Brother,
you. You you
what,
you 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 add so much fuel to the fire, lady. Like this is the stuff we're talking about. We're having a conversation, or should we continue protecting our women or let them slide and protect themselves? And you come out with this. Lovely, please keep the energy. Keep the same damn energy. You continue.
well,
Go ahead, back. Go ahead, bro.
well, you
If
know,
you want,
that's great.
if you want to add, if you want to, respond to her, you can.
Oh, sure. Well, well,
Be respectful. This is not your channel on, TikTok. So be respectful.
no, I got you,
Okay.
brother. I got you, brother. If anything, this lady has made herself representative of what we commonly refer to as the hyenas,
Mm-hmm.
the black women in our community who outwardly have a lot of misandry towards black men, women who are relatively intolerable, insufferable, who demonstrate a high level of emotional immaturity, despite whatever their supposed uh, socioeconomic standing is, or whatever their educational pedigree may be. These are the women who typically just show their ass,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we refer to them as hyenas. And like my brother sent me this shirt, no hyenas.
That's a banging shirt, man. That's a banging shirt. No
That's
hyenas. Love it.
from my
Love
brother
it.
DB9 Vibes on TikTok.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
But these are the women who don't realize what it is that they're giving up while winning. You know, there's always some consequence that
Mm-hmm.
follows any and every action.
Mm-hmm.
And these ladies have joined the feminist movement that started back in the early 70s. And they wrote it, and they were essentially used as the pack muse to promote it for the entire spectrum of women in this country, whether or not it truly benefited them or not. And
Mm-hmm.
now here we are.
Yep.
But one of the things that they fought the most for was to demonstrate their strength, their
Which they have.
independence.
Which they
Yeah,
have.
well,
Like no disrespect. Wait a minute. We gotta give the devil props. Women have proven that they can do it
have
themselves.
they? Have
Yes.
they?
Yes. In my
Huh,
opinion, I think they did. Yes.
huh.
There are
Okay.
so many women out there
Huh.
who are taking charge of their lives. They don't need a man for anything, right? They don't need a man. They can take care of themselves. Now I know
Women
what
were
you're
doing that before.
Okay, but was they doing it in the workforce like that?
Black women always had to work in this country.
As slaves and mama people and stuff like
No,
that. I
no,
get you.
no, 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 no. That is no. I'm not talking about as slaves. I mean, literally, always.
Mm-hmm.
The even the narrative of being the stay-at-home wife was a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
That was a privilege that not even their white counterparts all had. People in this country worked, men and women. It's a lie to even keep promoting that idea that there was a time when women couldn't work. No, they always worked. They may not have had access to certain jobs within certain industries. They might not have had that equilateral access to it. But women most certainly did work.
All right,
And
so let's say that. Let's say that in certain job environments, they have shown that they
but
can hold their own. Do
but
you
in
agree with
terms of
that?
strength, you don't get a cookie for doing the bare minimum. You
Okay,
that
so you
that's
think they did the bare minimum?
that working is adulting. Paying your bills, that's adulting.
Hmm.
Because hundreds of years ago, not every woman had the privilege of even getting in a marriage. So, so I mean, if that line of thinking was acceptable, then how would we ever account for the women who were married and their husbands died? They were widows. What, just because the woman's husband died, that she just supposed to just acquiesce to hunger and starvation? I mean, acquiesce to starvation and poverty. She's not supposed to work. She's not supposed to take care of herself simply because her husband is dead. No, that's nonsense.
Hmm.
Women have always worked in this country. Some women have had it. Granted, some women have had it easier than other women, and that's been true inside and outside the ethnic spectrum.
Well, that's
Sure,
true for men too, man. Like, I mean, there's men that just get it harder than other men, no matter what they do.
yeah, but just that narrative that women just didn't have to work, that's a lie, and
Hmm.
it's sad that primarily the most presumably most highly educated women in the country keep pushing that forward as a speaking point, but
Hmm.
it's a lie, and it's a dumb lie at that.
Hmm. Dumb lie. But let's
You
get
know,
back on topic because we gave real beauty enough of our energy for tonight. Let's get back on topic when it comes down to it. So back
it is
to,
related though.
I mean, yeah, it's related, but I want to focus more on why shouldn't we or why should we protect women? Because yeah, this is a major because me, and I'm gonna say this
Mhm.
for those of you, this is just a real quick, just the disclaimer. A lot of times I get people that's hitting me up saying, yo, G, you wrong for this, you wrong for that. And I'm like, wait a minute now. These are not all my thoughts. These are not all my opinions. I am playing the devil's advocate, if you will. I am playing the side where I'm giving voice to certain things that are being said in the ether, right? Whether it's in the manosphere, whether it's in the red pill media environment, whether it's in passport bros, because we can't just find if a person from the passport bro or from the red pill or MGTOW or whatever, they're not always going to be on stream to come up and say their viewpoints. So it might trigger something. I'm like, yo, I had a thought on that and I read that somewhere or I heard that somewhere or I hear this a bunch of times and I'll throw it out there so that point can be argued to completion, right? It may not be my viewpoint. Okay. I'm just saying that because I want you guys to understand, like, it may listen, Gary, is that your viewpoint? Because it's you're arguing it so hard and so strong. Yeah, because I want that viewpoint to be tested, right? I need it to be tested, just like this one. I'm going to test this viewpoint the best way I can because we're talking about a societal situation. Societal norms are changing and it can affect us negatively if we make the wrong choices. Do you agree with that 360?
Oh, absolutely. But it does encompass what that lady said in that text. what so many other women have been saying for years, even in the music industry. One of the oldest songs that kind of makes this point that I can think of is this song, "You Don't Own Me." These women, they constantly tell us that we don't own them,
Yeah.
that they are strong, independent, that they want us to respect that independence. They want us to respect the possibility that they may, in some cases, may actually be superior to us. And they put us in a position to where for any of that to happen, it requires to a certain degree that we step back,
Mm-hmm.
because anything else has been labeled intrusive, creepy, cringeworthy, oppressive, misogynist. They've expressed a hatred of us even asserting that they even need our protection. So why?
You making it hard for me to stay on it. Let me just get the game face back on. Get my game face back on. Go ahead.
I mean, this is what they tell us. This is what they tell us is required to even respect them. And if we're anything less than respecting of them in this capacity, they have all these horrible monikers and denigrating statements towards us. They accuse us of somehow trying to be these toxically masculine, overbearing savages, trying to force them into a box that they say time and time again they have no desire to go into. What do they keep telling us? Oh, I'll be damned if I'll be like my grandmother, or the classic Color Purple narrative. I'm not silly. Oh no, you're not gonna be Mr. to me. So what do? We respond in kind, which is also in accordance to with the social conditioning and programming that we've all been subject to. The same.
Listen, let me just say this. I want to bring my wife up. She has a couple of things she wants to say. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish your point, but I just want to make sure I bring her up. So everybody say hello to the Lady Lamb.
Hey y'all, good evening.
Hey, Mrs. Lamb.
Hi everybody. You giving me the floor? I was like into what Mr. Smooth was saying. I was
yeah, go right ahead, because you was in there for 5 minutes. I wanted to make sure you came up. But
it's
continue.
all good. No, it's fine. I've been like backstage taking my notes. So you made many points. One was that the societal norms are changing, and unfortunately, one lamb to another. Hey, hello, Mary Lamb. I noticed your last name too. Hey, everybody. Good evening. This is the sad part here, right? You have a whole new generation, a new genre of aliens, because that's what I call them. These women now. These even, what is that terminology, babe? I don't want to use the whole boogerish. Anyway, this whole thing that's out now.
That's definitely not something you want to use.
That's not for company.
No,
it's just like you were saying, Mr. Smooth. They have this mindset of if you're anything less than what they approve of as a man, then everything is out the window. There's disparaging remarks, it's hate culture, all of this mess. And sadly enough, the societal norm now is what they call for. You can't pick and choose what you want. You can't pick and choose, well, I want my independence, and forget all of these men. And they like to generalize in the whole Me Too movement and this mess that's out now. But then if she's in danger, oh, by the way, I want to keep all of my ideals, but and also, by the way, come to my rescue too. And I'll be the damsel in distress in this moment. And when this attack is done, and heaven forbid you lose your life, then they'll just go back to exactly who they were. That's not how this works. You can't pick and choose you know, your safety and pick and choose your way of life, pick and choose up and until, you know, signing off. Because this is my thing. I always believe this, and I say that the power's in the pen. Look at the administration now. Look at our country now. It's majority Western women. And so everything that's happening, I really do believe that it is a result of these alien women having way too much access to what they never should have had access to. They do not speak for all women. And so, like you said, I agree with you, Mr. Smooth, that there's either, you know, a narcissist woman that's just like, I ain't sharing, and all of that. And I can say I get it. And then there's the woman that's like, you know, I'm on the fence with it because I know my husband, I know our children, and it's a natural, innate, masculine even way of being to want to rescue and to help and to protect. So it's very difficult, I'm sure, to go against the grain of what you're naturally, you know, as a part of your natural innate ability and your desire. I would definitely, and we're taking into consideration again, this situation. It was in a Walmart. You know, I have my feelings about that as it is. It's just, you know, uncontrolled environments is not cool for me. That's not my thing. But consider the situation. The clip said that the gentleman, Bashir, I think his name was, he tried to get help from the employees of the store, and big surprise, they're like, too bad, so sad, don't involve me. Right. And this is the thing, in I'm trying to say it in a politically correct way, but in our environments, in the neighborhoods and the neighborhood stores and stuff like that, that's just it has become a part of the culture. Like I said in one of the other videos, it was a time growing up, you know, back in the day, in the time of, you know, street lights and all of that. It's like everybody watched out for everybody. The neighborhood raised each other's children. We could all correct another person's child without being, you know, ridiculed, or God forbid somebody called the cops on you because you said something to somebody's child who was misbehaving, you know, and it really was a village. Now, because you have these sociopaths like this crazy lady with the brick and all of these things that's going on, there's so many men that don't know where to go, what to do. Should they help? Should they not help? And it's across the board. It's not only in a dangerous situation. It's if they're out in public and they want to open the door and show chivalry. It's in, apparently, I mean, I don't date, other than my husband, we date, but I'm not in that scene. But I hear it's difficult. The guys don't know if they want to open the door. The guys don't know if they want to, you know, if they want to pull the check. They just don't know, because you have this independent alien out here now. Like you said, she's nasty. She has a nasty, you know, disposition. She's very argumentative. They call them the hyenas. I don't know. And this is my thing. Like one of the videos, babe, that we did, the girl in New York, she came out of the woodwork, and hi Jiffy, everybody. She came out of the woodwork in the middle of an active investigation. So this is my thing. When you are trained, whether it be military, whether it be the police force, any form of service or protection, you know, you're in war mode. So I believe that man may have just seen red. I don't know if he saw woman, gender or not. I'm thinking what he probably saw was attack, you know, and this little thing comes and jumps in the middle of this active investigation to do what? I don't know, because that was a man that was being arrested. And with her 2-pound self, who was she protecting?
Right.
And then what you get is, and it happens all the time, you get the lawyer for the neighborhood, the spokesperson for the folks in the community, and he's, you know, coming to their rescue, and all you see next to this man is a whole bunch of women He shouldn't have put his hands on her, and this was wrong. And and this is my thing, and I really believe, where is the presence of the men in their lives? Because it's a lot of things that we don't do. I'm talking about we as women who do have the presence of men in our lives, that we won't even find ourselves in the position in these environments. And I'm not saying that things can't happen. I'm not saying that, but there's something else that comes with having a male presence in your life. It's a level of protection. It's it's like a sixth sense. You can feel your way through this, this environment, and you already know your exit plan, your exit strategy to go to safety. And if you were in the situation that something like that happened, I'm on the fence, because I've seen and heard foolishness like this in our community, where here comes the man, he coming, a neighborhood brother, or, some dude that, frequents the area, and he knows the situation, going to this girl's rescue, say it was a domestic violence situation, because that's what I've seen. Here he comes and helps her. Then this fool, the girl, turns on him, don't hit him. And, here come the other dudes coming to her rescue. And now all of a sudden she wants to she turns on them, and it happens.
Yep. Here
comes this man trying to protect her. And now you get her uncles and cousins and all of this coming to jump on him when she was the one that was in this situation. It happens. It's happened so frequently, unfortunately, that I'm sorry. You have to think twice now. This is not in the 60s and 70s where the neighborhoods raise each other's, kids, and we all watched out for each other, and hear the street light come on, you better get to your porch, your daddy out there waiting for you, and all of these things. You see the lady coming off the bus, you help her with her bags. This is not where we are anymore.
Right.
Now you have a whole generation of these alien fools coming up that they don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to hear your opinion. And I'm talking about these women to men. They don't want your opinion. They want you as like some non-existent, inanimate object to be used to their discretion. And when they're done, go or keep you on the back burner. So for her to pick and choose and like take you off the shelf. That's how they treat men now.
Yes.
So I mean, as far as I can try to think of a man these days, I'm not a man. I'm not, masculine in that way or anything like that. But I have men in my life, and I'm honest. I'm being honest with you. I would tell you, exhaust all other options first. Okay, them coworkers didn't want to go help. Go get the manager. Go get somebody else. Don't let it just be you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you never know what this hood booger is going to say to you. Some of them think that they are men. They want to fight the fight themselves. Why'd you get involved? Were you in total? I mean, I can't it's so ridiculous how unappreciative they are. It's like negating the fact that you put your life on the line. You got involved. I've seen women straight snap on dudes that are really trying to help them out in public. Loud mouth. Mind your business, just between us. And like I said, now many men now, they don't know what to do. And you get that's their problem. I'm over here. And this is what happens when you put the wrong type of power and access to the wrong women. And this type of one, sorry to say, she does not represent all women. It's an unfortunate situation. I feel so bad for this family. I feel so bad for them. That all you hear is the cousins and everyone calling in saying that he loved family. He loved family. Probably a great dude. Lost his life for what? Because some crazy dude came to the store with a firearm on his day off to come check some girl over a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry, not sorry. The men in my life that we love and admire and revere, their life means way too much to be put on the line for some fool. That's how I feel about that.
Well said, Lady Lamb. Are you complete, baby girl? Baby,
I'm sorry, I got like one speaker going over here, another one over there. What did you say?
I say are you complete?
Yeah, I'm complete. I'll pop back in if there's something more I feel led to say.
All right, cool. Well, thank you,
gentlemen.
sweetheart. Now you pretty much stole all the juice. I got like 3 clips down here. I'm still playing, but you took like 3 clips, and you and I'm like, all right. So she done blew that one. Then she blew the next one. I'm like,
and for the record, I had no idea what you were gonna play. That's just how I feel.
But I mean, listen, I was gonna bring my partner up here one way or the other. You was going to be up here. You know what I'm saying? But
I still got more heat for you, brother.
Oh, I know you do. But I'm gonna drop you down, boo boo. Thank you very much for coming,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Listen, I mean, I obviously I agree with my wife. You know what I mean, with what she's saying wholeheartedly. And I don't know what Trip was talking about. Maybe he got confused or whatever, but he retracted his statement, and that's good enough for me. So continue, my man. Go ahead.
To kind of piggyback off of what Mrs. Lamb said, these women don't realize what they've essentially won. They've made a host of different demands that they wanted Black men in particular to start addressing. They told us that we were too intrusive, that we were too oppressive, that we were misogynists who were trying to control their lives. So we stepped back. These were the same women who just, in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, said that they didn't need men, that they thought they could essentially raise whole families by themselves, and proceeded to do so. And now we're seeing the first and second generations of that play itself out, where you had Black societies essentially controlled by matriarchal figures, the mothers, because that was the big thing, right? They kept saying that the men either abandoned them or the men just weren't ish, whatever. They made all these different claims, excuses, whatever, to justify not the reason why they didn't have a man in the picture, and almost always blame men for that, even when it truly was just purely their decision to go it alone. And now here we are, a generation or 2 generations of men, predominantly raised by women, having learned women's thought processes. And you would think that having such direct tutelage, direct teaching and mentoring from women, that we would have a class of men that would figuratively take their own lives before being disrespectful to, much less being abusive physically towards a woman. And yet here we are. Why? Because it's not about the presence or lack of a presence of a man in the picture. Many of these behaviorisms are actually feminine in nature. Many of these thought processes, many of these ways of dealing with conflict are feminine in nature. For example, if we take that guy in Walmart, the fact that he's even getting into a verbal altercation to the level that would escalate to where he's now putting hands on this woman.
Yep.
That is not typically a masculine behavior or masculine thought process. That's what women do. Women will sit there yin-yanging with each other, and then eventually start giving these threats and want to slap box each other, scratch each other, do whatever. That is a feminine thought process. Because for men, most men who even regard themselves as men, masculine men, they don't even want to have that type of conversation with a woman.
Nope. They want to walk away.
Exactly. They're more inclined to walk away. Why? Because they don't even see women as their equal per se. We see men as our equals. We don't see women as our equals that way. Why? Because we still subscribe to the previous gender normative that regards women as being the weaker vessel. But what happened? Oh, yeah, that's right. These women have been fighting against that patriarchal teaching. They've been saying, oh, that's wrong. That's toxic masculinity. How dare you not see me as an equal?
Wait,
okay.
Whoa. Men have started all the wars.
Yeah. And to what purpose? To what end? Oh, yeah, that's right. To provide for themselves and provide for their women and children. That's who reaps the benefits of all those resources. That's why these women, that's why we're even talking about this right now, because of the expectation for the men to be the protectors. Well, why would they need that protection? Oh, yeah, to protect their welfare, their access to resources, their access to whatever. This is what this is all for. So they say these things, they say these misandrist speaking points to somehow just throw us off of what we're talking about. Yet when it's all said and done, they still carry the same expectations of us to be manly men. See, they don't, it goes back to what we're talking about with the guy with Walmart. It's all good and fine if they're the woman getting beat on and they have this expectation for just some random men to suddenly feel charged and obligated, to feel the duty to be their Captain Save-ems, but not when it's their man.
Right.
When it's their man, oh no, baby, don't you get involved in that. Or you don't know what's going on. That man might have a gun. This is what they say. So it's just nonsense. And this is where men have been. Men have been just stuck on this teeter-totter, this ideological teeter-totter for generations. But now men across this country have awakened, and they've awakened to the reality that a lot of this is just double speech and nonsense. A lot of it is just double standards meant to only have women reap the benefits of, while simultaneously creating the illusion that there's some type of equality. But if all things are truly equal, then the same way that these women should be able to come to us and seek protection, well, the same way we should be coming to them, right? Because we're all equal. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're not equal because they're incapable of providing that type of protection to us. We're the ones physically suited. We're the ones genetically suited. We're the ones sociologically suited to be the providers and protectors. The only thing that has changed over the last several decades isn't whether or not women work, because they've always been working. The only thing that's different now is that they have greater access to different types of work.
Right.
They have different access to making higher levels of money, to where they could, from a certain economic standpoint, be the principal breadwinner in their homes. That's the only thing that has changed. Women have access to great amounts of money. But everything else is still the same. Physiologically, we're still the same. Women still are at an inherent physiological weakness compared to the average man. That's why we see, even when these women are in competitive sports, such as running, weightlifting, even UFC MMA, these women get waxed when they go up against trans females, or in other words, genetic men, birth men. When they go up against these individuals, these women get waxed. These trans individuals find themselves setting records that no living woman could possibly even reach, much less exceed.
You know,
why?
I really wish you give me something that I can fight you back on, because it seems like it's one-sided. I'm really trying hard. I'm like, damn, I can't. I have nothing but facts, nothing but truth here.
But the reason why is because this is what they asked for.
Yes, man.
We didn't even ask for it to be this way.
No, we
So
didn't
many
want
of
it
us,
this way. So go ahead.
so many of us will very much enjoy going back to the previous gender normative where everybody understood their role. Men were provider protectors. Women, they took up the domestic duties. They took up the hearth and the home. They were the primary nurturers of the children. We were primarily the disciplinarians. We were the problem solvers. We were the ones who instilled temperance, virtue, honor, and resilience. We were the ones when we would see the kid run into the wall or something, we say, hey, get yourself up, dust yourself off, don't cry, keep it moving. Don't waste time stuck in your emotion. Get up and keep going. It was the mothers who would come and coddle the child. Oh, it's okay, baby. You're all right. They would supply the love, the nurturing, the empathy. They would teach that to the child, while the father would teach all these other life skills and lessons that children needed to become resilient, strong individuals. And when you put that together, you had somebody who was both strong and resilient, but also compassionate and empathetic. That led to productive societies. But now these women are so busy trying to take over our role, and they delude themselves into thinking that they can do so effectively simply because they're making more money. Like, no, sweetheart. Your capacity to make more money does not make you any more of a man than I am. You just have money, because once put in a situation where your money has no value, then what happens? For example, the lady at Walmart.
Wait. That asshole is called feminism. That's all I need to say. Go ahead.
Take the lady at Walmart who's getting waxed by that guy. That guy didn't care how much money she had in her bank account.
Nope.
He didn't care about how accomplished she was academically.
Not even a little
he
bit.
had an issue with her, and his method of dealing with that issue was bringing the pain.
Yep. I mean,
none of that other stuff mattered.
The man was strapped. He came in strapped. Like
my guess is
he had a mission, bro. He had a mission that day.
My guess is the reason why he came strapped was probably because of some type of preemptive threats she probably had given him. Like, you talking all that stuff, you come to me, I'll get this one, I'll get that one for you. Oh, you gonna get this one and that one for me? Okay, bet. I got something for them when they come.
Right.
But see, this goes right back to the difference between men and women. Men engage life in a significantly different way, in a completely different thought process than most women. Why? Because, as we all already mentioned, men are already predisposed, or at least predisposed according to the social conditioning, to be protectors. So we look at life, we look at these interactions, these confrontations from that perspective of, oh yeah, this might go to the left. That I may actually have to accommodate for this situation going to the left. Women don't have that thought process. Why? Because they've been privileged to having this expectation of men to do this for them. No, you always hear these ladies in situations like this express their expectation for men to just be activated to come and protect them. But you never hear them simultaneously say that they have their own self-imposed expectation to not get in those situations in the first place.
Oh, wait. Okay. Now I have to play this clip. I gotta play this clip. Hold that point, all right? Because that's exactly this. I knew it. You just brought me right into it. Listen to what this young lady has to say.
Regards to Black women not being protected, let me first state the obvious. No man should put his hands on a woman. We desire protection, but sometimes what we don't understand is that true protection comes with a level of control. Bodyguards are a good example. A bodyguard will make their client leave from a dangerous place. The bodyguard has to know all the details: who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the client has to listen to the bodyguard and follow the instruction that the bodyguard gives them.
True.
It's really an agreement between all parties involved. When the person who needs protecting does not follow the instruction and the direction of the protector, it puts the protector in a situation where they're more likely to lose their life. I have 4 brothers and a father, and I listen to their instruction even when they're not around. They have told me to stay away from certain places if I'm by myself or if it's late at night.
Yes.
They've also advised me not to be drunk or high in certain situations. Even though my brothers, my dad, and the men in my life protect me, I in turn protect them by listening to them and following their instruction.
Listening to the men that are here to protect you. I was on a live with you on TikTok. Remember that live? And we had a bunch of women coming at our necks when that man punched that woman in that chicken shop. Remember that live?
Oh, yes.
They refused to listen to what we were saying to them. We're telling them, if you see a person that's animated like this and he's elevated to this point, shut your mouth. And they refuse to listen to us. Why do we have to shut our mouth? Because this is the man that you raised. He is unhinged. He doesn't know how to control his actions and his emotions. He's saying he's going to punch you in your, he's planning to punch you in your, you don't play with that.
Nope.
Now, luckily her son was there and no harm came to her or her son, but that could have been very, very bad because women today don't want to listen. I'm gonna finish the clip.
Again, let's just hear this again, because I know a lot of us women, especially in our community, a little hard-headed, want to argue. Listen to what she said. Ready?
Even though my brothers, my dad, and the men in my life protect me, I in turn protect them by listening to them and following their instruction. They don't have to come to my defense in some wild scenario, because if I listened to them, I wouldn't have been there in the first place.
Right.
And this is another thing I feel like is pertinent to say, and I know folks ain't gonna like this one. I don't have sons right now, but when I do have sons, I'm gonna teach them that there's a difference between diamonds and dirt and rubies and rocks. Rubies and diamonds are often in jewelry stores. They're in glass cases, they're secured, there's an alarm system. There's a lot of layers of protection because those things are valuable. But you could pull over to the side of the road and find some dirt and rocks.
That right there makes for a great mother. And also, I believe that this young woman may be a great mother because she has her father in her life. She has a father and she has brothers. There is a presence of men in her life, which equates and helps her to understand what it is, not only to be a mother, but to be a mother to sons, because that's something I would tell my own children. Actually, as a matter of fact, I've told them something similar. She is right about that.
Expecting a man to risk his well-being, his future, and his life on someone who does not see value in themselves or the man is asinine. That's a very asinine thing to ask. All I'm saying is protection comes with a little bit of sacrifice. It comes with a little bit of control. And me personally, I feel that what I have to sacrifice and the amount of control I have to give up is 100% worth it to receive the protection that I've been getting my whole life.
Yes. Did you hear her? To receive the protection that she's been getting her whole life. She's a young woman. Clearly, she's enjoys herself. Her father or her brothers wouldn't have had to mention, don't get drunk or high. Don't be in these, areas and these certain situations at night. Don't, for protection's sake. So if you're out here and I'm talking about women, especially women of color, and you're doing your thing and nobody can tell you anything, that really places you in a very dangerous position, because not only is it sacrifice for her, because it is sacrifice for her, It is a level of control that they have to have. Yes, you have to have your women, and I say women, maybe the mom, her as the daughter and sister and other siblings under a level of control, so that if anything were to happen, well, I've told her this her whole life, so I know that she did XYZ. And if y'all are saying she did something other than that, somebody's lying and there's some foul play. You know what I mean? But if you're living your whole life and there isn't that male presence in your life, you are missing an area, an umbrella of protection. You're missing that. I know for a fact that there are certain things that I don't do in areas that I'm not privy to, and I don't expose myself to, because I have a husband and because I've had a great dad in my life. Yes, I have my father, but my stepdad, you know what I mean? So, and uncles and my grandfather, but I have a husband. There's certain things that I don't do, certain conversations that I don't engage in when I'm out in public. There's a certain way I carry myself a certain way anyway. I try to, just as a level of discipline. But because I have a husband, I can see certain scenarios about to unfold before they unfold, and I already have an exit plan and a way of escape because of having a husband and having a male presence in my life. So she's speaking some wonderful truths here. And if you're in your feelings about it, then you need to check that part of your emotion. You need to check that, because there was nothing to be offended about here. These are gold gems that this woman was expressing here. How to handle yourself as a woman in this world. And I'm going to tell you something. That fool, and I called her a fool. Yes, I did. That
She love
fool
calling
was
this
out
woman a
there
fool.
lying and saying that some man threw something at her and all of this foolishness, and came up with this whole hoax. And I'm telling you, first time I heard her voice and I'm looking, she's lying. With that being said, it does not negate the fact that it is dangerous out here in this world and in this country now. Things that would never happen in a lot of our day growing up and stuff like that is the norm now. So if you take issue with another woman who has a life of protection, it's trying to help you stay protected, ma'am, sis, if something were to happen to you and you're fighting and you're rebellious and you have an attitude with anything that's been said here, because this is not something you want to argue about. This is your life. This is our life that we're talking about. The same way that we want our men to come home, it's the same way that they want us to come home. Safe and sound. Alive. If you and your feelings about this one, you need to check that at the door.
There's nothing else to say about that. Unfortunately, we have too many women that will not listen.
Nope. They won't listen at all.
They won't listen. And it seems to me it's because they're missing a major component, a male figure in their life.
I can't put it on that, brother.
Okay, why can't you put it on that?
Because that's been the consistent narrative that they push to avoid their own personal accountability. Because if that were the case, then we wouldn't be here today. We, ancestrally speaking, many of us are the products of family units who, through whatever reason, whether it been, if you're talking about back to our African ancestors who were indulged in tribalism, fighting against other tribes, not every person made it back home.
Mm-hmm.
So you had widows back then. There's any number of reasons why women throughout history have been single mothers, and yet society always continued. Why? Because it wasn't about that individual woman. You still had a society, you still had a culture that promoted certain ideals, such as collaboration, cooperative economics, cooperative works, so on and so forth. That's where we get that whole "it takes a village to raise a child" saying from. That's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Because that societal ideology still existed that provided these normatives and teachings and protections that many of our ladies just now take for granted. But also, today's ladies have been working earnestly to destroy. So we can't just come out and say, well, all these problems are because of a lack of male presence. No, some of it, I mean, don't get me wrong, men make a difference. But at some point, we have to be honest about why is it that the men aren't there? Is it truly just because these women were just abandoned by these men? Or was it because in many cases, these women weren't in functional relationships with men in the first place, such as they weren't married. They were just out here just getting knocked up by Pookie, Ray Ray, or whoever they felt they wanted to have a relationship with, or maybe they just didn't want a relationship. They were just ready for motherhood. They told themselves they were ready for motherhood and had these kids. I mean, there's any number of different reasons why these women became single mothers. But to suddenly say that these women are failing because of a lack of a male presence, well, that's a slap in the face to all those men and women who are the products of single mother environments who don't have these types of experiences.
Right.
There's millions of Black women who are the products of single mothers who have great temperance, virtue, who carry themselves as ladies, who don't find themselves dealing with Pookies and Ray Rays. By the same token, there's millions of Black men in this country who were predominantly raised by Black women, who are now out here busting women upside the head with bricks. So it's a slap in the face to the women who are doing it right.
Happen. I mean, well, it sounds like it didn't happen. The whole brick smacking upside the head with it don't seem like that happened.
True. But I'm just saying, that there's millions of Black men out here who truly do respect and adore Black women. And they just so happen to be the products of single parent homes with single mothers as their parental the parental subject. Those men aren't out here committing all these atrocities that these women love to just bash all Black men for having done. No, that to say that would be a slap in the face to all the wonderful Black single mothers who actually do get it right, who do instill in their children basic humanity, respect for other people, respect for ladies. So we can't just keep feeding into that narrative. Oh, well, this is just because there wasn't a man around. That's nonsense. It's BS.
Really? Okay, I stand corrected.
But a lot of it goes back to these teachings, and that's what these modern women refuse to acknowledge and take accountability for. If you're out here saying that you don't need men, that you see men as intrusive, that you would rather men, I mean, there's some women out here that go to the extremes of saying that they believe all men should die, period.
Yeah.
That women should stop even bearing male children.
Wow.
But then you fast forward when they find themselves in these situations where they actually need a male presence to come and protect them. Well, then it's where all the good men at? Where the good men at? You aborted how many millions of them?
Yeah.
You celebrated the deaths of how many of them? You wished calamity upon how many millions of them? But then you could fix your mouth to say, well, the good men at? You didn't produce them.
Right.
You did everything possible to make sure that many of them never came into existence. But then you want to say, where the good men at? Well, why can't I find a man that's on my level to be my husband? Are you even the type of woman that would even attract such a man? Would you even know what to do with a man like that if he even gave you the time of day? Or would you be that type of woman that would look at that man and tell him, oh, you don't look like you have enough money for me, or you ain't handsome enough for me? Or would you come with some nonsense and BS that would isolate you from that man?
bruh.
Would you even be promoting the image that you're even receptive to that type of man?
Mm.
For kicks and giggles. Sometimes I will go on dating sites just to look at the profiles and see what these ladies say.
Yo, listen, we going to do that. Yo, shout out to Rumble. Listen, man, thank you everybody over at Rumble for keeping the chat going. I truly appreciate it. I've been doing everything I can. I've been doing my best to bring your chat over to YouTube so you can actually see your chat in the scroll as well, so everybody else can see what you're saying as well, because you can see what they're saying by watching the video, but they can't see your chats, unfortunately, as of right now. But I'm going ahead and I'm gonna send you the link, Mad. So the link is coming right now. This is only for Mad, no one else for now. Just Mad can use the link to come up, because he is a security guard and he has a purpose to be here because he's seen some wild shit. I'm assuming. Just keep the F-bombs to a bare minimum, please. And keep the conversation clean. But we're gonna bring Mad. What is it? Hayden. What is Hayden Ronan? Is that how you say his name? Hayden Ronan. That sounds about right. So he's gonna come up because he's a 6'6" security guard, 330 pounds. Last time I checked, I might be a little bit wrong. I got you. Haitian. Is that what it is? Haitian. I can't read word for damn, and I don't really give a shit. But it's like it's Haitian. But yeah. So we was just talking about Dr. Heavenly before we got on. Yeah. And you hit that point heavy. You nailed it. You was sitting here like, how are you going to sit here and you don't even want to date us if we don't have no money, right? And we're not going to ruin the show for next week because unfortunately, Matters of Opinion, Wally P and Erica P could not be on tonight. Unfortunately, I'm very, very upset about that. I wanted them to come on and be a part of this live. You might have to do it to part 2 because I'm sure Matters is going to want to say his piece. But we have another show next week discussing what Tyler Perry said. And in an uproar for what he said, that if he could pay the light bill, you should consider him because that is a good man. And Dr. Heavenly roast him. She was like, no, you're going to have to step up. My light bill, $1,200 and all that other stuff. It's relative, yada, yada, yada. So that's going to be a great live. But let's go ahead and bring up, it says Sigma Black Ronin. Let's go ahead. What is up, man?
Erica P could not be on tonight. Unfortunately, very upset about that. I wanted you to come on, be a part of this live. You might have to do it to part 2 because I'm sure Matters.
Pause your volume. Got me? Can you hear me? You good? You there? All right, we're going to drop you down until you get your stuff together. All right, buddy?
Oh, he heard you. He heard you.
You heard me, but you ready to rock now?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. Sorry about that.
Let's go. It's cool.
Okay.
So what you got for us, man?
I've been I have over 14 years of security guard experience, 3 years club, and 11 years professional uniform. And my club years was real. It's I'm not gonna lie, it was a little traumatizing when you look back on it. It's a little.
Now, what was traumatizing about it?
Well, I used to work in a alternative nightclub. That's what they call it, but back then, but it was LGBT.
Mm-hmm.
And my worst nights were working all women nights, lesbian nights.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, the gay nights were pretty docile,
Mm-hmm.
pretty easygoing. Yeah, you might get some guys trying to hit on you a little bit, come at you a little bit, but you keep it professional, you keep it clean, and you just go about your night, and it's pretty smooth. I'll probably have to say probably one incident from that night, but that was a little strange. But consistently, my worst nights were lesbian nights.
And why do you think that?
Because one's alcohol, but I could say that for the same thing for the gay dudes, but they didn't act crazy. But the lesbian nights on Wednesdays were just, I don't know how to explain it, man, but they were just, especially when you're dealing with studs.
Yeah.
It was more majority.
Oh, they're the worst, man, because they have such a freaking ego with them. I don't know what it is about studs. They have an ego problem.
They have a very ego-driven. It's kind of like watching a little boy who wants to be a man. When you see those little boys who want to be men, you find it so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
But they just take that energy to a whole other level. Like they be like, oh, you want to go outside? It's like, you're like, ma'am, you're 5'2", 120 pounds. I'm 6', 300 pounds. I'm a former, and I'm an amateur, and I boxed amateur in my early 20s, and I did some pro wrestling on the side in my late teens. You're not going to win this battle. Like,
right.
It's not going to be good. It's good. I could see another dude. I would understand another dude coming and jumping to rescue you, and they saw a guy like me, big dude like me, just mauling you.
Right.
Because it just doesn't look fair. Like, just from the outside looking in, even if she's the one who started, it just from the outside looking in.
It's not fair, right?
It don't look fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, my worst night was when my partner on the job got 4 stitches because we left our post wanting to be heroes because there was a lover's quarrel between an ex and a lipstick lesbian and her new girl, and she did Big Bertha stud and her friends got a hold of them down the block. And we ran to break up the fight. And because I wanted to play hero, my partner got 4 stitches upside $1.50 upside the face. And I got hit upside the shoulder with a boot, with one of those clog boots. Those big clog boots.
Yeah.
That girls like to wear. I got hit upside the shoulder. And to this day, I'm 41 years old. I was 25 at the time. I still find it hard to lift my arm this way because she caught me right between the shoulder blade of the and I mean, I didn't even feel it until I knew I heard it, and when it got hit, but I didn't feel it until the next day when I felt like a burning sensation, and I should have put it in the sling. I should have put it in the sling, but I'm 25. I'm thinking like, it'll heal, but I should have put my arm in the sling. But my partner got a $1.50 across the face, good-looking white guy, caught it across the face from one of the girls, and I still hold that guilt.
Yeah.
I still hold that guilt is that we should not have left our post.
Yeah.
I can tell.
It just bothers me, man, because that's when people say to me, I'm this, I'm misogynist, I'm this, I'm that. It's because I've seen the worst of women.
Yeah.
I've seen the worst of women, and a lot of other guys are starting to see the worst of women. And that job, I remember after that, I didn't want to work that job anymore. And I went and just started going.
Because it's dangerous, man. And nobody's going to come to your rescue. I mean, just because you're big don't mean anything. You still can lose your life.
Well, Gary, one of the things that needs to be talked about is that to a certain degree, women can be just as dangerous, if not more dangerous than men.
Yeah.
Primarily because this society tries to sugarcoat them, try to underestimate them. Like my man right there, I have a very long, extensive history with security myself. I'm 44, and I've spent at least 7.5, maybe 8 years primarily within security, just being a nightclub bouncer. I've seen the exact same things he's seen. And I can tell you, the two groups of people who gave me the greatest amount of trouble as a security guard or bouncer were middle-aged white men who, for whatever reason, felt that they were in a position to try to challenge me.
Yeah, I had that one. I had that one guy at the job, my uniform job.
Yeah. And black women.
Yes.
Black women, whether they were straight, lesbian, whatever, they were the ones I had to monitor the closest because they were the ones who were most likely to try to conceal weapons that I had to search, and they try to rely upon the benefits of the doubt that women are often granted, just so the club doesn't get all these sexual harassment type charges and allegations and stuff like that. So we had to find inventive and creative ways to actually make sure that these women didn't have weapons. And sometimes we just had to employ female officers to come in and pat these women down. And you would be surprised the types of weapons that these women would carry. Everything from various types of blades and stuff like that up to various forms of firearms. These women would,
under the tongue sometimes.
Oh, yes, indeed. Stuff in their hair, stuff in their undergarments. So, it was a very difficult undertaking, especially for a man in that type of industry. And when it came to fighting, the lion's share of the fights I found myself having to break up were with black women against other black women.
Yes.
And even then, it would be one thing if it was just the patrons. But in many cases, it was the females working at the club. Give you a perfect example. One night, I'm sitting there trying to de-escalate a situation between one of the shot girls at one of the clubs I was working at and some other competing shot girl in the street. So when I get there, they were already tussling before I came upon them. When I got there, I did one of those Samson kind of pushes. I put a little extra on the other woman because I don't know her. But I knew if I put a little extra on her and I push the other one that I do know that I actually have some type of affiliation with, I push her away, but not as much. Then now I can put myself in a position to be more of like a human shield. So while I'm shielding her and trying to get her to go back inside, of course, the other woman, she comes back up. And now, instead of following my instruction, what does the club girl do? She's finding ways to reach around me and hit at the other woman, trying to use me as a shield so she can continue fighting.
Yep.
So now at this point, I go back to the shoving again, but this time, now I'm shoving her ass into the club. And these are the types of experiences that we find ourselves having. And keep in mind, this is not my wife. This is not my child. This is not anybody I have a familial connection with. For all intents and purposes, even though we work together, we're still perfect strangers.
Basically,
And at the end of the day, if something were to happen to me, this shot girl is not going to come up and help pay my expenses for my family. She's not going to be there paying for my kids' college tuition. No.
Doctor bills.
She's going to tell the first thing that she's going to say if I go down is, well, he was trying to help me, but I didn't ask him to.
I hate when they say that. I hate when they say that.
I didn't tell him. Nobody told him to help me.
I hate that. Good men bring order.
Yes.
Good men bring order and stability. When we intervene, is to keep the order and stability and safety for all people involved around. And when they say that, it's so juvenile to me. It's so juvenile. It's so ridiculous. Because why? Because let me tell you something. I'm Haitian. What we have right now in Haiti, after the president was assassinated by Colombians, okay, what we have right now is a breakdown of security in Haiti because the gangs have taken over and have moved from being regular street gangs to being domestic terrorists in the country. So, with this breakdown of a situation in Haiti, women would love if 100,000 African American men just ran up in Haiti bringing order, with AKs bringing order. They would love it. They would love us just to run down there, Black American men just to run down there with military uniforms and bring order. They would look at these women over here and be like, y'all crazy.
Yep.
There's a guy called Jimmy Barbecue in Haiti right now. Jimmy Barbecue. You know how he got his name? You want to take a guess, Gary?
But burning people.
Setting people on fire.
Yep. I did. Yeah.
That's how he got his name, Jimmy Barbecue. I've watched a photo of actual human remains on the street corner. I don't see. When I saw that, mind you, I lived in Haiti. I was born in America, but I lived in Haiti for a few times. My mom and dad were having financial troubles. I lived a pretty upper middle class lifestyle in Haiti. As a child, I went to private school. I thought every kid had that. What I was having as a kid, in Haiti. I never saw stuff like that. I remember a really peaceful Haiti in the 80s. Even with all its problems then, it was really peaceful, very rural, really nice, very... If I was to tell Afro-American women anything, you don't want what's going on in Haiti. It's apocalyptic.
Yeah.
It's apocalyptic.
Yep.
And the men have caught, because some of the women, the older women, say they don't need no men. Some of them said that. Now they're screaming for God. For God. They're screaming for God right now. Please, someone help us. And it's not just Haiti. It's Venezuela. It's Nicaragua. Nicaragua is even worse. It makes what's going on in Haiti look like a kindergarten dispute. Women can't go outside in Nicaragua, not even day or night. They can't go outside because they will be snatched up like that. And then if they know there's a woman inside the house, the gangs will kick the door in and have their way with her if she's alone. This is why we have so many people running up at the border, Latinos running up at the border. It's because I'm a future passport bro, and I have passport bros all over the world. We have our own little network, and they are bringing news. They're acting almost like reporters. Hey, this happened today. This happened today. This happened today. And there's brothers down there, and they strapped. Luckily, they strapped, and they're like, bro, it's bad. I'm trying to get my lady out of here. I'm trying to get her a passport to get back a green card to get her into the United States because it's that. They want to stay in Nicaragua, but they can't stay because of how bad it's gotten. Now that's why we see what we're seeing at the board, also at the board. There's some people who shouldn't really be there acting to get in, but there's also people who should be there acting to get in because of the mess that's occurring in these countries. So when I hear the lovely ladies, shout out to Dan Sperling, the lovely ladies say they don't need any men. They don't need their men. They don't need no Afro-American man. They don't need no black man. There's another option.
Yeah.
A really dark one. And if this is what you're choosing, do not come back begging these men that you throw away when the apocalypse is hitting you.
Because they're not coming back. See, that's what they don't get. Once these men are gone, they're not coming back. because now it's dangerous to come back. It's too dangerous to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take it another level.
Susan, one question. Who's Matt? Because I don't know who you're talking about. Who's Matt? But I'm like, go ahead, I'm listening.
Well, let's take it to another level. It's one thing to talk about the passport bros and other men who are just simply affluent enough to not only visit other countries, but do so with enough time and frequency to where they can form a productive relationship with a foreign woman.
I know multiple married men this year got married.
Huh?
I know multiple passport bros got married this year.
See, there you go. So
I got receipts. I got pictures and everything of the wedding.
So we have these men. We have these men who are capable of going overseas and, for the most part, not coming back. But then look what that does with the situation back home. So you have a host of men who are still here in this country who, on the one hand, still have an affinity for American women, or at the very least, American women seem to be the only women that they may very well be in a position to get with, because they don't necessarily have the means to be passport bros. Mm-hmm. But those men, those are the same men who are bashed on a daily ritual by these American women. These are the same women who bash this subset of men who are still here, telling these men how much they don't need these men, how they find themselves to be or see themselves to be equal to these men, if not superior to these men, how they would like these men to mind their own business, to not be controlling, to not be intrusive, to let these women do what they want to do, say what they want to do, go where they want to go, when they want to go there, all these different things. They want to exercise all these freedoms. And as they continuously push these men away, well, the men are responding accordingly. They're hearing, they're internalizing the things that these women are saying. They're internalizing all the disrespect that these women are giving them. And those men are only using that as fuel to be that much more discerning when it comes to dealing with American women who are still here.
Yep.
All that means is that those men, that if they so desire to get married or even have relationships, they're still going to have those relationships, but they're going to do it much more selectively and much more conservatively.
Yes.
In other words, they're going to give their provision and protections to the women who actually celebrate them, appreciate them, and actually show a vested interest in them. And they're not going to give their provisions and protections to women outside of their immediate circles, outside of their sphere of control, outside of their relationships. But this is the complaint, right? That these women feel that they should be entitled to protection from Black men on a just because basis, right? Why do I need to be your wife? Why do I need to be your friend for you to protect me? Why?
Because you do.
Because my protection is valuable. Because my provision is valuable.
Yes.
Because it's necessary to give to those who I am indebted to, who I am obligated to, who I actually do have a duty to. That's why. What does it look like for me to compromise what I give to my wife, my children, the female members of my family, my female friends? What does it look like for me to sacrifice all of this provision and protection that I can supply to them just for some random woman who, amongst the sea of other random women who have historically and even presently are saying that they don't want me, don't like me, don't want to have anything to do with me, see me as a dusty bullet bag, see me as worthless, don't even acknowledge the value of my very life. Why should I give them all of this? For what?
Listen, shout out to the Rewatch crew. Shout out to the Winning Reality crew. Thank you for coming in. Truly appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here, Rumble people. Everybody, we just want to say thank you for being a part of this live. Listen, this was a impactful live. Now, I want to get the last words from you individuals, and I want to know exactly how you feel personally. Okay, because the question has not been answered. We had a lot of conversation. We said a lot of things, but the question is, and I want everybody, and I might even do this while I'm gonna put the poll up. I'm gonna put a poll. All right. Should men protect a woman who is not what should I say, related to him in some way? I think this is a very powerful question. Let's see what the chat has to say. For those of you who are in Rumble, if you want to vote, you can. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that up for you, the link, so you can come over to the chat and you can cast your vote if that is something you want to do. It's not necessary, but it will be a very nice thing for you to do. There's the chat. And while we're waiting for the poll to finish, I'm gonna go with you, Mad. What is your answer? Do you think you should be? And now this is coming from a paid security guard, right? Do you think a man should protect a woman who is not related to him in some way?
No. I'm also saying this as a man who's lost the guys later or off the job over some dumb-ish dudes who mentored me.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to, I'm 41 and did not get to see 41 when I was in like 27, 28 when they were mentoring me. Because they wanted to be a hero. They wanted to play hero outside of a nightclub. They wanted to play hero outside of a grocery store, or run across the street to stop a situation instead of call authorities to handle it. And that just is why I agree a lot of times with police officers as a gray shirt. I always bond with the blue shirts on this. At the end of the day, you just want it, number one priority for you is to get home at the end of the night.
Right.
And I tell men this, from when you leave work to go home to your families, your goal is to get home to your family at the end of the day. That's it.
I'll place my answer here. You're breaking the rules. But I'll place my answer here rather than the poll, as this is a complex question. You should protect those who you have a personal investment in. Well, that's basically what we mean by that, related to. And more importantly, who have invested in you. Okay, I gather that. So I'm going to assume you mean yes, right? Is that I think you are saying no. Actually, you're saying no. You're saying no. I'll place my answer here, as this is complex question. You should protect those who you have a personal investment in. All right. So if it's a co-worker that you have investment with, you'll protect her. But that's a relationship, right? You have a relationship with this person. So I will assume that you're saying no. You will not protect a woman you don't know and risk your life. That I'm gonna go with that. No. Now, over to Smooth. What is your answer?
My answer is kind of similar to that comment, because I see what he's trying to get to, and I'm pretty much on the same page with that, because it is somewhat of a loaded question. Because protection itself, it requires a certain amount of risk assessment or mitigation, and that's what he's looking at. He's looking at that there's levels of protection. It's one thing if you see, if I see this man just getting into a verbal altercation with this woman, would I intervene? Maybe, maybe not. If I approach her and tell her to shut her mouth, will she do so? Or will she further continue doing whatever she is at that moment in time and continuing to engage this person even with my presence? In that case, if she does so, she puts herself in an indefensible position. There is no protecting her, because she's telling me from the very jump that my intervention is not even recognized, much less appreciated, much less will she submit to it. And this is what I really wanted to get into earlier about this idea of where men say that we cannot protect that which we cannot have some level of control over. These women, they seem to fight us so much on that idea of being controlled in any form or fashion. But yet they have no problem when it comes to protecting their own things on a personal basis.
Oh boy, talk slow about that. Yes.
For example, many of these ladies have jobs that require them to secure their belongings. So they don't have a problem with putting their belongings into a locker where only they have access to that key to that lock, or where only they have the combination to that lock to go on that locker. They don't have a problem with that. They seem to understand quite well what it means to be able to protect their own personal belongings, as long as they have some personal control over their belongings. But yet, when it comes to us, and they expect us to give our protections to them, and we tell them, okay, well, if you want me to protect you, then it means you have to submit to my protection. Now they have all this problem. Oh, well, why I got to do this? Why I got to submit to you? For the same reason that you're coming to me for my protection in the first place, because you need it. That's why. So when it comes to this question of whether or not we should protect women who are not necessarily related to us, or we're not obligated to protect, well, that is definitely a judgment call to be made in that moment by that individual man at that time, because he may very well make his own risk assessment and say, you know what, yeah, this is a lady. This is a woman that if I tell her to shut her mouth, she will actually shut her mouth. If I tell her to get behind me, she will actually obey that instruction and get behind me. If I tell her to just go inside, she will actually follow that instruction and go inside. But when it comes to these other women who display an inability to do those things, an inability to accept, and that's another thing, to even accept protection. Some women are unwilling to accept protection. So again, there's no protecting women like that. They have to put themselves into the mind frame, into accepting protection if they're ever going to receive effective protection. Other than that, they put themselves in a situation to where they may very well be the aggressor or the antagonist creating this whole situation. And that's not good for anybody. Least of all, their would-be protector.
So the answer is a no.
No. It's not a no. It is a yes or a no based upon the situation at hand. That's why I say the question itself is just, it's a loaded question.
Too hard for you to answer. It depends.
It's just, well, I'm sorry, brother. It's just not a good question.
It's not a good question.
This is not a good, it's not a thorough question, because the question itself is so loaded. You're talking about something, your question is generalizing an activity or an event that actually is more complex than you're giving it credit for. And that's what these ladies don't seem to understand. These ladies don't appreciate how complex protecting them actually is. They just assume that it's just something that's some knee-jerk reaction or some knee-jerk happenstance. You know, it's like, oh yeah, protect me. Okay, yeah, okay. We're just supposed to be some gump just coming along, just sticking our necks out there, prepared to give up the ultimate price, to pay the ultimate price, which is our lives for their life, and it's just so insignificant of a choice. No, that is a thought process. And just because they don't have the wherewithal or they don't have the appreciation of how complex that thought process is, it doesn't mean that we or we are somehow supposed to just have the same disregard for ourselves the same way. We are not some tool to just be used and discarded at will. We have more value than that. And if anything, that's actually something that they taught us. Because remember, this is what they keep saying. I know my value. I know my worth.
Right.
So somehow we're not supposed to know our value. We're not supposed to know our worth. I thought the whole nonsense they were talking about before with all this self-help about having all these affirmations, knowing your value, getting that healing. Isn't that what that's all about? Having self-esteem, but somehow when we have the self-esteem, when we have the awareness of the value of our own lives, then somehow we're just supposed to push all that to the side just because they have this momentary need. Their momentary need is supposed to supersede our lives or our obligations to ourselves, our families, our loved ones, and our basic humanity. Oh no, this is the equality that they fought for. Well, this is the quality that they get. If they can't protect themselves and provide for themselves to the extent where they need us to give them external protection, external provision, then they need to act like it and appreciate it and treat us better. Bottom line.
Okay, so let's pretend that my question was spot on, accurate, balls to the wall, accurate. Okay, and you had you have to answer this question. Okay, yes or no? Should men protect women?
It would get a no hyena.
Get a no. That's what I wanted. I wanted a concrete answer. Thank you very much, 360 Smooth. Listen, I appreciate you, Matt, for coming in. Thank you for your input. That information about Haiti was awesome. I'm so glad you was able to say that, because a lot of us don't really know what's going on in these countries. I know I don't. But to hear it from a person who has been there or have brothers in that environment, to say to women, listen, this is the possibility. This can possibly be your life. America is not this entity community that cannot go to that level. We can go there. All right. Venezuela was a powerful country at one point. Rome was a powerful country at one point. Egypt was a power, you know what I'm saying? Like, every dynasty has their end if we don't protect ourselves, which is reason why we do something called Repairing History every Thursday night with Winning Reality. Be on that show every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are repairing reality. And right now we're going to be going through a crap ton of Thomas Sowell, because he has, I've been listening to Thomas Sowell for quite some time, but off and on, right? And Winning and I myself, we was discussing this, and I was like, listen, let's just do it, because Thomas Sowell is hitting me with some heavy stuff. He just came out with a new book. We're going to discuss that on Thursday night at 6. Listen, we also here on Saturday nights, every Saturday nights without fail. We're usually here with Wally P and Erica P, but they have some situation right now. Their power is out, so that's why they wasn't on tonight. But listen, this was a very beautiful live. Thank you for bringing that information, because women need to hear this. They don't want to hear this conversation. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to accept that there's a possibility that you will need to submit sometimes. All right. Like that woman said, there is a level of submission. There is a level of control that you have to give over to protect. What up, Daisy? To be protected. Okay. A man is not going to throw his life away for a person that don't know how to listen. Not doing it. Okay. We're too valuable for that. I am too damn important. And if there's men that won't go out there and protect my wife if I go down, I have to say no. Okay, I didn't answer the question. I'm gonna answer the question. You saw the video, Smooth. You saw it. I would want to go and help, but now that I hear how many men are saying hell no, I won't go, I now have to say no. because I can't leave my family by themselves. Okay, if I knew that it was reciprocal, then I'd be a different story. But it's not reciprocal, and it's because there's too many women not worth saving. Listen.
Well, you know why they had that reaction, right?
What?
The expectation is because historically, despite the fact they don't want to admit it, they have been heavily insulated and protected socially.
Yes, they have
for generations.
Yes,
even now, that's why they even have this expectation for men to just give them this protection.
Listen, there are women. There's women to this day that say no man should put their hands on women. Why can't they just say no one should be hitting anyone? Why can't they say that?
Because they take for granted that this society protects them when they are the aggressor against men.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
And they want to hold on to that double standard. They want to hold on to that permissiveness that this society gives them, that blind eye that this society gives them to when they are the aggressor towards men. That's why for years it didn't matter what all the woman did. It didn't matter how many times this woman slapped, punched, hell, maybe even used a weapon against a man. Until he responded and put his hands on her or did something towards her,
that's when
whatever she did was fine. But once he crossed that line, then oh no, now he's demonized. Now he's the biggest piece of crap walking, simply because he dared to raise his hand to this woman. That was the thing with the guy down there at the hot dog stand. Nobody said anything until he made his threat towards that woman.
Yeah, nobody stopped, nobody talked, nobody came in and said, "Yo, why don't you leave him alone?"
And this woman, and you and like you said, you went alive. You heard the same things I heard. They hated when we told these women that by the simple fact this man even announced his intention, that was an escape.
Yes,
he said, "If you say one more word to me, I'm knocking you out." So he actually wasn't the complete piece of crap that everybody gave him the credit for, because he didn't have to even say that. He could have just launched into his attack, but he didn't. He gave this woman the opportunity to shut her mouth and leave him the hell alone. And instead of doing that, she felt compelled, for what God knows whatever reason, to continue talking to this man all the same. And that in itself, when he responded to her, still running her mouth, and he went into the attack, these women used that as the justification for him to lose his life. They didn't care what happened.
Nothing else mattered at that point.
That whole situation could have gone so wrong in so many different ways. That weapon could have jammed up. The son could have been a poor shot. For all we know, the man could have possibly overpowered her and her son, took the weapon, and used it on either one of them or both of them. There are so many different ways that whole situation could have gotten greatly out of hand. It could have gone completely to the left.
Did you see Mike's response to that? Officer Mike, I think that's his name, Officer Mike on TikTok. Is that his name?
Well, I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, he basically was trying to show. I'm gonna probably bring it up.
I know who you're talking about. I do know who you're talking about. The firearms instructor.
Right, him. Yeah.
Yes.
So he made a video pretty much talking to a couple of black women, and he was like, "So if your son was trained to do this, and back up, and he showed a certain way that it probably would have went down a different way, right? And this man wouldn't have lost his life. But he also asked, if your son would have told you to get in the car, would you have listened?" And the women said no.
So they would not even submit to the protection of their own son.
They even had to admit, I would not have said no. I would have said no if my son would have told me to leave. What up, Scrappy? This is, and when he's like, see, you wouldn't even have submitted to your son, whose now life is in danger because of your actions.
Who is actually has some type of familial connection with you. So when it comes to your half-grown male child that has a vested interest in your personal welfare, if you're going to tell him no, if you're not going to submit to his protection, then why the hell should we think that you're going to acquiesce to our protection, that you're going to submit to our protection, and we are perfect strangers?
And you saw what the woman said, right? You heard what she said. She said, I listened to my father and brothers to protect them. Because if I don't listen, I am running a risk of them losing their life trying to protect me. This is one thing I've always told my wife. If there's ever an incident, do not stand there screaming. Run. Those seconds that I give you might mean you get away. Run. Don't worry about me. If I'm done, I'm done. Get to those kids. Focus on get to the cops, whatever. Because I'm not about to let you. Because if let's say I'm fighting a bunch of guys, and we're gonna go after this. Let's say I'm fighting a bunch of guys, and I'm trying to hold these people off. If I find a way to get away, I don't want to have to look back and grab you. I have to now. I need to know that she's safe, so I hold them off. Stab, whatever. I can possibly get to freaking safety. But if you're still there, I have to continue fighting, and I only have so much supply of energy to do so. You have to get away. I am holding them off for you to get away.
Gary, I definitely need to make this point right quick, and I'll do my best to be brief.
Okay.
For the ladies out there, please stop throwing in our faces whatever you have done in support of Pookies and Ray Rays. Because they constantly want to say that, yeah, black women have always been there for black men, and we did this, we protect them. First of all, black men as a collective would not be putting you in a position to where you, of all people, had to protect us in the first place. That's what Pookies and Ray Rays do.
Boom!
When you are sitting there, when you holding it down, when you being that ride or die chick, most of what y'all talking about is what you did for a reprobate Pookie or Ray Ray.
Reprobate. That's the word, reprobate.
We as a collective, the positive majority, we are not asking you to do anything that you all would associate with being a ride or die chick. Because first of all, we're not going to put ourselves in that type of position, and we certainly aren't going to subject you to those types of situations. So with a prominent, positive man, you're not going to be sitting there looking over your shoulders for the ops. That's not what we do. That's not what we're about. That's what you do for those hood rat Pookies and Ray Rays that you all show an affinity towards. That's that negative minority of men, which apparently, like I said, you have a preference for and you keep breeding for. We have nothing to do with that. That's a completely different lifestyle. So what you all call yourselves doing, and even for the other women who call themselves going out on picket lines and stuff like that, we're not asking you to do that. If anything, we would have a preference for you to stay your asses home with the children. Because trust me when I say this, there is no photo op of y'all standing in front of police like some goddess picture or whatever. None of that bullshit has ever stopped a racist police officer from gunning one of us down.
Nope. Has
never stopped a bad officer from simply gunning us down. None of that has ever changed any law in place, despite however much pressure you think that applied. Those people do not give a damn about us.
No.
Especially those politicians. They don't give a damn about us. And you just sitting up there taking a picture in front of the police officers. No, none of that is you changing one solitary thing for you or me. Don't believe me? Ask Sandra Bland.
Yeah.
Ask Breonna Taylor. Ask them how much your posturings have ever done to roll back that malfeasance or bring about justice. None of that. No, stay your asses home where you're not getting hit with rubber bullets, where you're not getting maced, where you don't need somebody putting milk in your eyes so you can see again. No, stay your asses home.
They
I don't respect it.
No.
I don't know when they're going to know how they don't understand that. I don't, as men, it's not one of the things that we're going to say, oh yeah, I respect her for this. No, that's not what's going to make me respect you even more or less. It doesn't matter to me. It's what you do, like protecting the children, that matters to me.
That matters.
Because you're protecting the future.
That matters. And that's what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. Let us do our job and you do yours.
Well, how about this? How about be the actual support system that they're supposed to be? So if I'm out there in the world dealing with God knows whatever challenges, facing down whatever threats, and I'm victorious and I come home battered and wounded, you actually get on your job and tend to me so that I can properly recuperate. So I can get back up the next day and do it again. But hopefully when I go back the next day, I might not be at 100%, but maybe I can be a good 95. Even though when I walked in the door, I was maybe like at 80.
Listen, 360, they don't even want to cook us proper food so we can freaking heal properly. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even want to do that. So it's like they just don't get it. But listen, we gotta get off, man. I want to make sure that we stay under 2 hours because I want to respect I want to respect your time. I know you have a lot of work that you got to get done. Again, appreciate everybody for coming. Listen, like I said, we are here every Thursday with Winning Reality, Repairing History, and every Saturday with Matters of Opinion or Guests. This is Gary Lamb signing off. You guys have a good one. Everybody stay in. I'm just going to drop y'all down so we can finish the live, but we're going to have the after live after this. All right. Everybody stay in. This is Gary Lamb signing off. You guys have a good one.